What's up, good people? It's your girl Tanika Nikki, and as always, I appreciate you guys for tuning into my channel. Today, I'm going to bring you guys another one of Jolie's close friends, someone that she also considered a best friend. She was not there the day that Jolie came up missing. However, she was a part of everything from that day all the way up and through the memorial. She has a perspective that's different than the one that we recently heard. A few more things are revealed as far as Jolie as a person, um, and a few other things. Well, you know how we do, guys. We chop it up in the comment section afterwards. However, please remember, these are just kids, so we're not going to bash or ridicule them too hard. But I have the best subscribers, so I ain't worried about it. You guys do so well when it comes to just, I guess, expressing yourselves without making it a shit show. Thanks again for tuning in. And here you guys go. When I first reached out to her, she was still grieving quite a bit. She was actually going through bouts of depression and just kind of down real bad. So I gave her some breathing room. And when I finally reached back out to her and she was ready to talk, these are the things we discussed. First, of course, I asked her about that day and the things that transpired. What does she know about them? And I also asked her to tell me about Jolie's death. She started from the beginning, of course. She said she hadn't heard from her at all that day. But 2 days before that day, she called on the phone and was screaming and crying and, you know, going through it basically. She said her ex boyfriend had beat her again and she passed out for like 5 minutes straight. She said she was with her boyfriend and she sent Jolie the address and said for her to come on through ASAP, like, leave wherever she was and to come over to where she was. And I asked, was she hurt badly? And then she responded, as you see there, bruise on her neck. He choked her. She said how embarrassed Jolie was and how both Zhane and her had been on her about, the ex-boyfriend. They actually fought Jolie because of him. They were really trying to stop her from seeing him, and I guess she was adamant about continuing to kind of go back and forth with this boy. She goes on to say that the boy had no respect for Jolie. Said he used to call her hoes and, disrespectful things like that. Sometimes boys can be so disrespectful, and I guess this boy was one of them. She said she always goes back to him no matter what, though. It was like a cycle. He would beat her up, apologize, they get back together, break up, beat her up, get back together. This, I guess, toxic, dangerous cycle of abuse and mess. I asked, was she seeing or chatting with any other boys besides him? Because remember, there was an order put out for them to not have contact, although they were secretly, chatting and I guess seeing one another as well. Jolie was speaking and chatting with other gentlemen. She didn't say their names, but she said she was talking to a bunch of dudes. Basically, it was based, on Snapchat and social media, not really physically, I guess, going out with these dudes. But you know how, I guess, young girls do nowadays. They get on social media and, they inbox and DM guys, respond to guys, flirt with guys, whatever the case may be. I asked her, how did she die? What do you think happened that day? What are the whispers and the rumors? Because that's basically, you know, the stuff that's not really being said. So I just thought I'd ask to see if there was anything, you know, being said amongst the children, the people that she actually knew. She says Zhane tells her everything, but when she asked her about that, her whole face changed. Her whole body language, everything changed. And basically, she told her, she ain't talking about that. She's thinking what basically we all have been thinking, what the rumors kind of been saying is that she was beaten. She says Jolie was a fighter, so she knows she would have fought with all her might, basically. She also went on to say that Janae just won't talk about it. She let me know basically that, you know, she had been asking about it and inquiring about it, trying to get more information because, again, her and Jolie were really close. I asked her what does she feel in her gut. You know, what is her heart telling her that happened? You know, the vibe. Because sometimes when you're close to somebody, you know, and you're frequenting the areas that you all frequented together, you in school amongst your peers and so forth, there's whispers, there's commentary, and you start to get a vibe, you know? You know your friend. She asked me basically to elaborate the day that she went missing. And I said, yeah, and the days that follow. She said, damn, I don't know. But I feel like she went to meet somebody and they probably smoked and she was probably, you know, drugged or something. And I kind of, you know, scratched my head a little bit because it never been revealed that Jolie was into any kind of drug or anything. But let's keep in mind, this is a teenage girl. Teenagers do teenage shit, from smoking weed to experimentation and things of that nature. I know as parents, we don't like to look at our children in that light. And I'm not saying that this is I'm not downing Janae, Jolie, or any other child. I'm just saying, being realistic, our kids aren't angels sometimes the way we our kids aren't angels sometimes the way we try to imagine them in our heads. You know, they're one way in front of us, but when they get with their friends and their peers, sometimes shit happens. They smoke a little weed, they experiment, they figure out what is or isn't for them. They're no different than what we used to be when we were kids. So, with that in mind, she also expressed that Jolie was curious that way, you know, just like most teens are. She would try new stuff. Then she paused for a minute and let me know that it was, you know, this was hard for her to do. And of course, you know, it's understandable. It's her friend that she lost, expressing what kind of person her friend was, what kind of friend, you know, she was to Jolie, and the events surrounding it hard, man, you know, especially when it's somebody that you really sincerely cared about. So she sent me this set of messages between her and Jolie. It's talking about the court date that happened back before Jolie came up missing. This is the event that caused the ex-boyfriend to be arrested. Now, although the family tried their best not to have charges pressed on that young man, the state did pick it up. But this is the date that they actually had the initial court date and had the order of protection or do not contact and all that stuff set up. This is the conversation. As you see, Jolie is letting her know that, yeah, today was court. She like, oh shit, you saw him? Yeah, it was wild as fuck. But we dropped the restraining order and we're trying to drop the protection order. So initially there was a restraining order and a protection order. She said, damn, damn, damn. Are you okay? Did you cry? OMG. I wish I was there. And that's Jolie. She's responding. So he just need consequences. But we trying to drop the felony charges on him so that he don't get locked up for years tomorrow. But I'm sure everything will be okay. So basically, after all the back and forth with the ex, the fights and all of that, the family still was trying to make sure that that gentleman didn't really get any charges that would affect his livelihood that way. Maybe they were trying to understand the fact that sometimes teenage love is crazy and stupid and well, you know where I'm going with it. For whatever reason, the family was trying to prevent any serious charges. And then she goes to explain what I just explained to you guys, basically. That's when he got locked up for beating her for the, she says it was about the third or fourth time. She said it happened outside of her, their house, but a neighbor came out and pulled out a gun. That's not what it should say there. It shouldn't say guy, it should be gun. So, of course, I'm blocking out names and everything, y'all. But the neighbor put out a gun and stopped him from hitting Jolie. And he started running and basically was saying, don't call the cops. She goes on to express that she really doesn't think that he killed Jolie. Also, that Jholie thinks that she crazy for even thinking that. Based on the back and forth between them two, Jholie feels it that this gentleman very well could have murdered Jolie. I asked her what she feel about it, you know. In this interview, my goal was to let her express herself, you know, let her tell me the story, you know, not do too much guiding, not do too much adding, you know what I mean? Not do too much steering, to let this person express themselves to the best of their ability and freely. So she says that she believes somebody pretended to be Jolie's boyfriend so they could kill her. Then she paused for a while and got into a story about her and the twins. She said they had stopped talking for about 2 months. They had gotten into a kind of big fallout. And I didn't question why she went to this line of conversation. I figured it all meant something and it all would lead somewhere. So, of course, I'm listening. I'm open and I let her talk. She said Zhane talked about her to a coworker, and basically it was a coworker that Zhane had been, I guess, flirting with and dating. But they found out that I guess Zhane had been dating more than just him. So when she called Zhane to basically confront her about, you know, talking about her behind her back to the coworker, I don't think Jolie appreciated the tone in which she addressed her twin, and got defensive of the twin. Of course, that's her sister. So whether this is the best friend or not, she wasn't having it with her twin. Even though the twin might have been in the wrong, whatever the case may be, Jolie defended the twin sister Jholie, and they fell out for about 2 months. She said, I called Jholie to talk to her, but Jolie got mad because she felt like I was on the coworker's side. So I was like, bump both of y'all, basically. Jholie blocked her number, but Jolie kept her number. They just didn't talk. So they just started basically talking again, and Jholie and her still wasn't that cool after the whole fallout. But her and Jolie, you know, they got back tight. So she says when Jolie called her crying, she got, real scared because they were back real tight, back sisters basically. And now they were back to the point where they were communicating on a regular basis. And that's when Jolie called her crying, and it was going down basically. The boyfriend had just beat her up, this, that, and the third, and it scared the shit out of her. She also, remember, that's when I was also saying that she had Jolie come to her house, X, Y, and Z. She said during that time frame, the 2 month span of them not really talking and kind of hanging out with other people, whatever the case may be, that the twins kind of switched up and changed. And with teens, that can happen. You start hanging out with different people, you start doing different things, behaviors change. Sometimes we're a victim of our surrounding environment or company, for that matter. She said that they changed and after they started being sisters, so Jolie didn't really talk to me about her new boys. So they were back close, but she wasn't all revealing like that. I guess she found somebody else to confide in regards to, the details, so to speak. She was there as a friend, but Jolie wasn't forthcoming 100% yet. She said that's why it's so hard for her to really pick out who the person could be that killed Jolie. She said if it was months before they had fallen out, she could pick him out in a heartbeat. But in between that time lapse, she really stopped, you know, being forthcoming and changed up. I said, what does Jholie think? I know she probably doesn't talk about it much, but she's human. And that was her sister. And at one point, basically, she was as close to Zhane as she is close to Jolie. So I asked, what is Jholie saying about it? She basically says that they both know who did it and mentioned the person's name. And Jholie really thinks it's the ex-boyfriend, but this friend doesn't think so. The other friend didn't think so, etc. Then she sent me this. This is the day of the memorial, kind of after. They were kind of hanging out at the house and recorded this. I'll show you guys this recording after I'll show you guys the entire interview. I'll also show you guys a couple sets of text messages and conversations that she sent to me. That's how I know this friend was a really good friend. She ain't got nothing to hide. She wasn't trying to conceal nothing. She sent me the tea, all of it. So shout out to her for being a very good friend. Not taking away from any of her other friends. Everyone's different. This one is just being super transparent. And I appreciate that in her. She said that the video was done after, the memorial, of course, and they did that in Jolie's room. I said, but you don't believe it was him. Why does she keep saying it's him, basically? If you don't believe it, the other friends don't believe it, why does she believe it? She went to explain that the ex-boyfriend really loves Jolie and how you can really tell that he loved her that way. Maybe outside of the fights and the back and forth between them two, you can really see the love, but Man, love don't hurt like that. But hell, she went to say that basically she thinks Janae is saying it because she really hate that boyfriend with a passion. And I don't blame her. You beating on my sister, you beating her to the point where she got to get restraining orders and orders of protection and all this stuff, putting bruises on her. Yes, I can see why this is a person that Janae hates. I asked her, did she really think it was a boy that killed Jolie? She said, good question. I said, I know. What are the stories that you hearing, basically? Because rumors happen. People start talking, kids start whispering. Whoever really may know some of what's going on is going to leak something and it's going to spread through the rumor mill. So I was asking basically, what you hearing? She said some girl told her that basically Janae killed Jolie. She said she just laughed at that because that was just plain and downright ridiculous. And I agree. I can't see the twin hurting her own sister. I just can't see that. But that's one of the rumors she heard. I let her know a little bit of the interview that I had done, which I'm sure she had seen, and said that, someone was told basically to protect and fight for the family when things got hard. I didn't get a chance to finish what I was going to say after that because she responded real soon after. She said, was that why the mother was basically pushing her away? So I kind of stopped and went to that because I'm wondering, dang, why they doing you like that? Let's talk about that a little bit. What's going on? I asked her why did she think that was, and then she said protect them from what? And I said exactly my question to you. Protect them from what is what I'm thinking. I asked her what's not being said, and I asked her to clarify, the T on the dead stitches. And basically, it's the same scenario. Dad hit himself on the door, etc., etc. She explained that right now she's just confused about everything. And just thinking about it got her feeling some kind of way, rehashing it, rediscussing it. She said it really don't make sense. I let her know that ever since I've been following this scenario, this case, this story, that it really ain't been making sense to me either, especially the way it's been handled and, everything. She said, I don't know why somebody would keep their mouth shut about, stuff like this. She switched gears a little bit and said, she can't believe Jolie is dead. It don't feel real, you know. Maybe she just maybe she just still grieving hard. Just don't feel like it's happening, like it's a real deal, like Jolie really gone. She said she didn't get to see her body. She didn't get to see her being buried. She said people just started pushing her away altogether. She said the family started pushing her away even while Jolie was still missing. And I thought that was crazy as hell. And she was a close friend. And the family really started pushing her away, period. And I said, why would they do that to you, basically, you know? I said, you were close enough for them to call you to see if Jolie was with you. You know, you close friend of the family. Why they do you like that? She said both of the friends just stared at her at the memorial. She said the auntie wouldn't even look at her. And they used to go places together with the family, the auntie. She was a family friend. She considered herself close like that. You know what I mean? And everybody just started pushing her away. She said she really ain't, she really don't understand what the tea is in regards to that. She said she don't know if they mad at her or whatever the case may be, but she ain't do nothing and got basically ain't got nothing to do with it. So what's going on and why they acting so weird and doing her the way they had been doing her? She say when Jolie came up missing, they came to her house twice. They asked a bunch of questions and said the uncle from the dead side said, I'ma start fucking people up basically if y'all don't start talking. Came to her house threatening. I'm like, damn. In my head, I'm like, damn, they just, but I can see it from both sides. I can see the family being upset that Jolie's missing, knowing that, they're visiting close friends and that somebody should know something. And by her being a close family friend, why don't she know nothing? That's probably their perspective. But they probably don't know about the fallout. They don't know about the distance in between. They don't know about the switching gears with the people that Jolie was confiding in. They don't know the tea. You know what I mean? So they basically just lashing out, and they lashed out at her, it looked like. And I said, oh my goodness, basically, it's my response. She said every time she posts something online, she get people asking her to speak up and talking to her all crazy. I also want to say how she really don't think she can ever go back to the family's house. Said she left a lot of things there. They were close friends. They used to share clothes, borrow things back and forth, and basically they act like they don't even like her anymore. I said, why are they acting that? Basically asking her why they acting like that. She wasn't there the day that Jolie came up missing. She wasn't involved that day. Why they acting like that? She said they brought the FBI and detectives to her job. Said they took her cell phone. They made her give up her iCloud passwords, etc., etc. They went through all her business, all of it. She said the job was kind of salty with her, you know, but she did what they asked her to do. Gave up her phone, gave up her everything. Her accounts, as far as social media is concerned, they went through all of her business. But that's what they do when they're investigating. You know what I mean? When people are being investigated, they have to look thoroughly, especially if they don't know who, what, when, where. They have to eliminate people, especially the people closest. So she was a victim of the process, basically. And I said, OMG, where was your mom? Like, this is a minor girl. So wouldn't they have to go through her mom to roll up on her like that and to, somebody, an, I felt like an adult should have been involved. Although she was okay with giving up her information and her devices and all that, the way she describing it to me is like she was kind of ambushed. And I'm like, whoa, that's kind of heavy for a kid. Shouldn't they go through a parent for that? But that's the mommy in me. I'm no detective or FBI agent, none of that. So I don't know their procedures and their policies, but I was kind of like, damn. And I also explained that maybe they were just covering all the bases and, doing their jobs, basically. It's kind of how I explained it. She was like, yeah, maybe, as if she's still kind of salty about it. I switched gears a little bit. I said that one of their friends doesn't think Jolie's dead hit his face on the door. Says that he must be confused or telling two different stories or something. It's one of the rumor mill questions, but this rumor mill, not really rumor mill, but statement came from a close friend of Jolie. So I figure I ask another close friend of Jolie. She said the whole family acting weird. Very, very weird. I said, I don't know. It's all so crazy. And then I went to asking her about, just what kind of friends they were, basically getting into that a little bit. I say everybody's acting like it's odd for girls to cover for one another, but girls will be girls, basically. Friends will be friends. That's what you do. You cover for one another. I got your back, you got mine. If I say this, yes, it's the answer. If my mama asks, this is what you tell her. That's what best friends do. So I went into that kind of conversation. Excuse me. I asked, did they stay out here and there or cover for one another sometimes, referring to the twins? She said they step over at my house a lot. Yes. She said, and always, we always cover for one another. She said Jholie would come over to our house and call her dad and ask her to talk, then leave and go somewhere else. And vice versa, that's what they would do. So they kind of acting like Jolie would never do this, the twins, this, that, and the third, curfews, and they wouldn't do this. Nah, they were doing what best friends do. What friends do. They cover for one another. They use each other as scapegoats or cover stories. This is not uncommon. This is what they did on the regular basis as friends. So I said, if one had plans, then the other most likely knew where they were going or who they would be with, basically. She said, most likely. She said, look, everywhere we go, we make sure one another knew where we were. She said, just in case, Jolie was the type to even take a picture of a license plate. She said Jolie was so good as far as making sure she communicated who, what, when, and where that she even started, I guess, doing what Jolie did, which is take pictures of license plates and cars or whatever the case may be. So these girls were that kind of friends. They were the kind that not only covered for one another, but tried to be safe and secure and, careful with what they were doing. But still, girls, best friends do what they do. They cover each other's stories, all of that. I said, that's the odd part. What's not being said? Zhane said Jolie was not in control. That was very standoutish to me. So I wanted to ask about that. I didn't get a chance to ask that in the last interview I did. So I just wanted to ask about that and see what that meant to her. She said basically Zhane can feel it. I said I heard twins are that way. That twinergy, synergy thing. One hurt, the other one feels it. One's in trouble. You can kind of get an intuition or feeling. At least that's what I hear. And also, she stated she wasn't in control because if she was, she would have let somebody know what was up. I asked about the search, kind of switch gears again. and asked, was the friends of Jolie invited to come do the search for Jolie? Were they included? Were they allowed to help? Those are the people who would know Jolie best, know her hangouts best, you know? Although they did have Zhane there, of course her friends would want to be involved. So I asked, hey, were y'all invited? Were more friends invited? What was up? She said no. They only put that on, I guess, the online flyers on the Jolie homepage, the Find Jolie page. And I stopped and I paused for a minute. And I'm like, no, the friends weren't invited. That don't even sound right. But then I got to thinking that if the family's not really sure what happened and they're still suspecting friends, then maybe they wouldn't have invited friends. I don't know. But if the friends were clear, why not invite them? I'm sure every single friend was done like this friend was done. So, and this happened right away, probably. But I don't know. But anyway, I asked who of Jolie's friends were allowed to help, basically. Was there, like, really a search for her at all by the family and friends? I said, of course, I know that the FBI and the police went almost like 2 weeks to the day and found her body in a park. But as far as the family and friends or the search part is concerned, was there a local search party? Was that a thing? I don't know what made me ask. I guess because you said no about the friends, I'm like, dang. So now I got more questions, and I know you all would have more questions, so I had to ask it. I said, did the family really have this big search party, or was this just something they posted on social media to make sure that, basically we kept our eyes and ears open? She said, like she was trying to say, but not trying to say. And there I go getting curiouser and curiouser, like, what's going on? But I backed off. Sometimes you can ask so many questions and get so deep into it that you start making a person feel uncomfortable. And again, this is a baby. Not a baby, but still a child. But I think I asked enough questions to kind of get more of an understanding of not only what transpired while Jolie was missing, but the kind of a person and friends that Jolie had, the relationship, the closeness, a little more elaboration into the characters of, this involved in a situation. Oh, I also asked her, what would she like the world to know about Jolie and their friendship, or whatever she would like to include in this that's not Q&A, basically. She wanted to express her love for Jolie and that she'd do anything to have her back. Also, that basically things are affecting her to the point where the girl is really going in and out of depression because of it, you know? She wants everybody to love their best friends and remember that I guess life is short, is basically what she's trying to say. And the petty shit is not worth it. I guess referring to the small fallout that they had that lasts a couple of months. But for teens and kids, a couple of months is like a lifetime. Kids think everything is 0 to 100. So I can imagine her pain. This is authentically, you know, I, I empathize 100% basically. And by her saying what she said, as far as not knowing how she would go on with her life the way she did, I I switched gears 100% and got into mommy mode. What would I want somebody to say to my kid? I expressed to her that Jolie would want her to live her best life, a healthy, vibrant life. I also told her that I'm here if she needed anybody to talk to, because sometimes you need somebody that's not judgmental and doesn't know you, and sometimes you just need to vent. And of course, just like with the other interview, I asked for verification text messages and emails or whatever she'd like to give as, receipts to kind of help tell this story and relay her side of things, or Jolie's story that hasn't been told. And true to the friend that she is, she did that transparently, no problem. I'm going to try to play them in order for you guys, an order of date. And I won't narrate them, I'm just going to scroll them. Now, again, these show the text messages of the week of, between her and Jolie, of course. This is the 12th. Also, keep in mind, she was one of the friends that was called the night Jolie came up missing. This is text between her and Zhane. Then she responded with, the second time I asked about how she died, she just got up and left, basically. She said she really wanted to know, but I guess Janae just ain't talking about it. She also said she don't think that they want anybody to know, basically. I thanked her for her honesty and let her know how I can truly see that she's a genuine friend. This is also her and Jholie. She was basically showing her a couple of messages she had been receiving with questions about this, that, and the other. A lot of questions basically she was receiving involved either Zhane or the dad, and this particular one was about the dad and I guess what kind of car he drives. Somebody was kind of prying and asking her questions. She was saying how she didn't even know that person, and Janae told her, don't answer, delete. And if someone is harassing you, change your number. Good advice, you know. However, I can't recall how, but we end up getting into a conversation about the ex. Yeah, I remember. I went to looking him up and trying to get a better insight into who he was, and I couldn't find him on social medias and stuff like that. I did find one or two things, but nothing as detailed as if things were just removed. So I went to asking a few questions in regards to it. So we picked up and started talking a little bit more. I realized that I might have been asking too many damn questions with my curiosity. Having, when someone gives you so much information, now your gears start turning and you start investigating a little more. And then I had to stop myself like, wait, you done answered enough questions. You done been forthcoming, transparent. Never mind, is basically what I was saying. Like, don't worry about it. Never mind. I told her she shared enough. But she went on ahead with the conversation openly. She said he's tall, brown skin, Ethiopian. I said, okay, now I'm confused. I said, because basically, when the family was describing who she was Snapchatting with, they were saying she was Snapchatting with her African friend, or she was having conversations with an African friend, and the only thing she referred to him as is her African friend, as if there's something unique or different or something they haven't heard of before, or you know what I'm saying? Like it was something to point out, like it was a key thing. But then I got to thinking that when you look at Jolie's friends list, Janae's friends list, a lot of the mom's friends list, when you go through the who's who, who's connected to who and who knows who and the type of people, most of them are African. Why would an African friend be unique? Especially now that it comes out that the ex-boyfriend is Ethiopian. Then I don't know. It's like, come on. I don't know. She said, I don't know. They always made it seem odd, basically. She also said that Janae recently started dating an African too. So she really don't know why they would look at it as odd. I stopped prying and stopped questioning at that point. I got more information than I could digest. I had I had to process it and look up stuff and go online and look at some shit. And man, this particular interview, although she was not the person that was there when Jolie came up missing, this interview gave me so much insight and answered a whole lot of questions, and gave me a good feel of the vibe and the pulse of the neighborhood and what was going on. you know, with with a lot of stuff. So I hope you guys got something from it too. Um, oh yeah, let me show you guys the video. Also, it's a little snap video from the day of Jolie's memorial. Um, hold on just a sec. Pause for the cause. All right, guys. You know how we do things. We chop it up in the comments section. And I can't wait to hear how you guys are feeling about this latest information. Does it answer a lot of the questions that have been lingering? Does it give you a better insight into the situation overall? Let me hear how you feel. Drop a line, a comment. I'll catch you guys in the comment section. Peace and love.